What's up, YouTube? Welcome back to Celio's Network. Today I have a best 2 out of 3 match between Control and Eternatus VMAX in the Ultra Prism through Darkness ABLAZE standard format, which is going to be a pretty short-lived format since rotation happens just a couple weeks after Darkness ABLAZE comes out. But this is the format that the Atlas POG 2020 tournament is going to be held in, which is going to be a fairly large tournament. If you're interested in the details on that, I will have a link in the description down below on the POG 2020, which is the Pokemon Online Global Championships 2020. I'm really excited for that tournament, and that's why I've been creating a lot of content on that for everybody else that wants to compete in it. So this is going to be an IRL match between Guru and Eternatus VMAX. I am playing versus my mom, Joan, who is a fairly competitive player, and we've both picked up these decks not too long before playing these games. This is probably only my 3rd or 4th game with this Control list, although I have played a lot of Control in the past. And my mom's been working with this Eternatus VMAX list for about a week at the point of recording these matches. So our play might not be perfect, but we're trying to represent and showcase what these matches look like. And Control is an interesting one because not a lot of people like to practice it or practice against it, so I wanted to show you guys exactly how this list is working. And if you are interested in the lists that are featured in this match, there are deck profiles on this channel for the exact 60 cards of the Control list and the Eternatus VMAX list. I will have the links to those in the description down below. As always, shout out to my sponsor, PotownStore.com, the best place for you to get PTCGO codes. Make sure you use code CELIO for 5% off and enjoy the match. So here we've got game 1 of Control versus Eternatus VMAX. Control on the left and Eternatus VMAX on the right. And I do keep in mind that these matches are usually fairly early in our testing, and so we might not be playing perfectly, but we are trying to showcase what the matchup looks like. So I'm going first with Control. Quick ball away Balelba and grab a Minccino. Very nice that I'm going first, and I have a Zacian already, so that's really good for me. And I also have the Minccino down, so then I'm just going to Intrepid Sword for 3. So pretty good start for Control. I can get rid of that Balelba since this is Control and not Mill, so I'm not trying to use Balelba every turn right from the start. Balelba will usually be used later in the game if I use it. Now we see her bench the Eternatus, then play the Crobat V. Now I do believe this is her first match of Eternatus versus Control. So I think she changes up her game plan a little bit in the second game to use a little bit less resources and go a little less aggressive, but that's something that'll naturally happen in a best 2 out of 3 versus a Control type deck, especially in a newer format, when players aren't accustomed to the Control decks and the Control strategies. It is unfortunate that she started with Yveltal GX and she had to use Capture Energy on it to grab an Eternatus there. She could have just Crobatted for like 1 card, I think, if she didn't attach the Capture Energy, but attaching the Capture Energy got the Eternatus down, allowed her to Crobat for more cards. But yeah, starting Yveltal GX is pretty bad, and having to attach an energy to something that you don't really want to be attacking with is pretty bad, since I'm going to try to get rid of all of her energy. On my side, I'm having a really smooth start here with Minccino coming down on turn 2. I have the Skitty already. Now that Skitty evolves into Delcatty, that allows me to retrieve 2 supporter cards from the discard pile when I evolve it. So the Skitty's actually really strong. It's in this deck over Palpad. And if you're interested in either of the deck lists, they've both already been profiled on this channel, and there will be links in the description down below. So there's Minccino, Skitty, and another Minccino already. And then I'm just going to Intrepid Sword for 3 cards again. So I'm building up a really nice size hand. And like I said, unfortunately, she has Yveltal GX stuck in the active. So here comes another Capture Energy, this time down to Eternatus VMAX, which is definitely where she would rather have the energy allocated as opposed to on Yveltal GX. So capture energy, going to search something out. Getting the Spiritomb, since that's a really good attacker in this matchup. Since it only has 1 retreat and it only has an attack cost of 1. And it can one-shot Oranguru, so really strong attacker, since if I'm removing energy, she can just manually attach 1 and take a knockout every time. So the Spiritomb is something I have to deal with. So, Scoop Up Net Zigzagoon, so she's trying to set up a potential Doom count, which I think since she started with, since starting with Yveltal GX, it's probably a good idea to consider setting up a Doom count on something, since you already have that stuck in the active. If I get rid of the capture energy, that doesn't really matter, because it can't use capture energy for Doom count anyway. But I'm not sure if digging through the deck is correct. Maybe just hold on to the Great Ball and hold on to the Crobat, but I think it's a fair strategy to just start putting damage on the Zacian, so if she ever has Dark Energy Boss, she can just grab 2 prizes with that. So here we see a Make Do from Cinccino, which is discard a card, draw 2 cards. Getting rid of the Channeler, since I won't be using those in this matchup. They're only here for the Vikavolt matchup. And I Team Yell Grunt the capture energy on the bench Eternatus VMAX back to her hand. Now this does allow her to reuse capture energy, but I don't really mind. And then I'll just end my turn with the Brave Blade. Now she Scoop Up Net Zigzagoon to put a 4th damage counter onto the Zacian V. So right here she's looking for that boss and dark energy. I'll also note that I have Chaotic Swell out, but that doesn't really affect much, since her only stadium is Black Market Prism, I believe, so that won't really affect much. So she gets the Dark Energy and she gets a Marnie. So no Dark Energy boss to take out that Zacian V for a quick 2 prizes. She Marnie's my fairly large hand away, though. And then I think it's just a pass from there. Yeah, okay, so now it's onto my turn. Make Do, discarding Brock's Grit, draw 2 cards. And I'm going to quick ball away what looks like a Balelba and Bryson Man to get another Skitty. So it's nice to have 2 Skitties or a Skitty and a Ditto down, so you can scoop up Net the Delcatty from last turn and use it on a new Skitty, then replace the Skitty, so you can always have a Delcatty. Basically, you always have the possibility of playing a Delcatty. So the second Skitty comes down, I attach Recycle Energy to the active, and then I just research their other Recycle Energy and a Scoop Up Net away. So here's Crushing Hammer, and I get Heads. So it's going to get rid of the basic Dark on the bench. Now, if you have not already watched the deck profile for the Eternatus VMAX list, she is playing 7 basic Dark and 3 capture energy. So, I have to remove 7 basic Darks, basically, to win the game. Once I remove 7 basic Darks, she's no longer able to attack. Now, high Darkness Energy, there are situations where that could be useful here, but I think at the end of the day, it's a moot point because I can just Faba them away. So the special energies are fairly easy to get rid of, but there are definitely certain points in these games where I don't get rid of the capture energies just because without dark energies, they're fairly useless. And my main goal is to get rid of 7 basic dark. So here's another Dark coming down, and now Marnie. Marnie's like a fine supporter for her to play, since it's not really burning through more of her deck. She's putting some cards back, and she's drawing 5, and it also disrupts me a bit. So she just passes there. She cannot find Switch or Air Balloon. Even if she could, she doesn't have an attacker. She could attack with Spiritomb potentially, but that Yveltal GX is still stuck in the active, so that's just really unfortunate. Against any other deck, the Yveltal GX would have just been knocked out, and then she can start going in with the Eternatus VMAX, and this wouldn't have really been a big deal, but in this situation, it is because I'm just leaving it there while I play my game however I want. Also note she's attached multiple energies that have been removed. So by now she could have just hard retreated the Eviltal as well in any other matchup if I was leaving the Eviltal out there. There's a Crushing Hammerhead, so I get another successful Crushing Hammer on a basic Dark, which is really good. Now, most Eternatus VMAX lists I've seen are not playing like anything like Ordinary Rod to get energy back. So I don't have this list especially like teched for control or anything, since I want to test like the stereotypical versions of each deck against each other to showcase the matchups. But the other version of Eternatus VMAX that I think it's the less popular version with things like Weavile GX and Darkrai Prism, Scoop Up Net, or even Energy Switch and no Weavile GX, forms of energy acceleration. Those versions definitely give control a problem. But now this version, it seems like it's a fairly favorable matchup for control. So make do here, discard, draw 2. We got Delcatty, so we're finally using the Friend's ability to grab 2 supporters. And we're going to grab 2 Yell Grunts there, actually. She is not knocked out anything, so we can't use Surge. But we're just prolonging the game, letting her burn through a little more of her deck. Letting me resource manage all of my hammers and scoop up nets. So basically the Yell Grunt just prolongs the energy one turn. She'll reattach it, and then maybe I can Crushing Hammer it next time instead of Yell Grunt. So the longer I can stall out the game, the better for me. Now she is bringing up the Spirit Tomb to knock out. I get the Recycle energy back to my hand. And here I just have to knock out the Spirit Tomb, right? Because that Spirit Tomb is going to be an issue. I could just try to Crushing Hammer it every time, but then she could always just reattach and knock something out. So I don't want to just keep getting prizes off of that. So here's where I have to kind of change up my game plan a little bit. And I think that's a really good lesson here if you are either playing control yourself or you want to prepare to play against control. This is definitely something a good control player is going to do. Spirit Tomb seems like a really great out to it, but I can just swing with Shinshino's attack for 1 colorless to do 40 damage and knock out the Spirit Tomb. And here I'm grabbing back Lieutenant Surge and Yell Grunt with Delcatty. I'm not really sure that was necessary though, because I'm not so there's Crushing Hammer, Flip Tails. So I'm not getting rid of this active energy. So yeah, I got back Yell Grunt and Lieutenant Surge. I'm not sure I needed to do that though. So here there's a misplay, and I will be taking that back just because, like I said, we're trying to showcase the matchups as accurately as possible. So I forgot to Ordinary Rod before Quick Balling. I was just moving fast through the motions. Another thing here is I should have Ordinary Rodded only Pokemon back. I should not have put the Water Energy back, because I could have used Energy Assist to knock out Spirit Tomb and accelerate an energy from the discard to another Chinchino. So later on, if she has more Spirit Tomb, I could use it again, or that energy could be moved from Chinchino to Articuno GX with the Articuno GX's ability. So, slight misplay there that I didn't catch in the moment, but I should not have shuffled the Water Energy back in. So then, yeah, I go to check, there's no Water Energy. Knock out the Spirit Tomb though. I take a prize, not something control always does, but sometimes you have to adapt the game plan. And I need to remove that Spirit Tomb from the board. So right there, I think she quick-balled for Eternatus VMAX. I'm actually going to rewind my game a little bit here. It looks like she quick-balled for Eternatus VMAX, unfortunately. But I don't think it affects anything. Neither of us noticed that in the game, but I don't believe it ends up making a difference. So Piers for just get the guaranteed dark energy down and pass, but at this point it looks like she's just got such a slow start that it's my game. I don't really think there's much she could do to come back. Now as soon as she gets the lead and keeps the lead, I'll be able to just start Lieutenant Surging and using double supporters a turn. But here I get the Crushing Hammerheads again, so I think that's like 3 Crushing Hammerheads, maybe even 4. Scoop up net the Cinccino, evolve it onto another one, and then make do again. Bench the Skitty so I can get supporters back if I need to. And I have multiple Crushing Hammers in my hand, so yeah, this game just looks really, really in my favor. And I have a large enough hand that if I get Marnie after resource management, I do not deck out. That's definitely something to keep in mind. And also, if I was playing against a deck that was not Eternatus VMAX, I would keep in mind the fact that they could have Belelba and Bryson Man themselves to deck me out. So I would want to keep a larger than 3-card deck if I was playing against a deck that may have Belelba and Bryson Man. Eternatus VMAX decks, I don't think I've seen a single list out there with Belelba in it, so I think it's safe to assume it doesn't have it. So I get another Crushing Hammerheads, and she's just going to scoop it up, and we're going to move on to the next game. So, Control takes that one pretty convincingly, and I think Control is usually going to convincingly win this matchup versus the standard Eternatus VMAX. If Eternatus VMAX has the energy acceleration options, like I said, then that could be definitely a different game. But in this matchup, I believe Control is very favored. So we're going to go into game 2. Hopefully she doesn't get the Eviltal GX stuck active this time, and we'll get to see a little bit more of an exciting game out of game 2. Alright, so we're starting game 2 with Joan going first and an Eternatus in the active, so already worlds better than the last game's start for her. She's going to attach a Dark Energy, Crobat for a couple cards, Pokekama Crobat away, get another Pokemon on the bench potentially, so next turn she can just safely start knocking out Orangurus. So getting the Spiritomb, since she recognizes that's a good card for the Control matchup, like I said in game 1, for just 1 energy and having 1 energy retreat cost, it's a really efficient attacker, so it's good to have in this matchup. So I research most of my hand away, attach energy, Skitty to the bench. I flip Tails on Crushing Hammer, and my start is definitely not as ideal. So Control starts are never really, like, they don't pop off. There's nothing huge happening most of the time. But here I'm just going to research, flip Tails on Crushing Hammer, and Resource Management. So that Tails on Crushing Hammer is huge. So that means she'll likely be getting a turn 2 knockout on this Oranguru, and I'm going to have to try to stabilize with just a Skitty. So here I think we're just discussing, like, strategy, like what should she do? Like, should she, you know, probably try to play, she wants to get the knockout, but she wants to draw the least amount of cards while doing so. So there's Marnie, and she gets Zigzagoon, and she gets Eternatus VMAX. So yeah, that'll be a knockout on the active Oranguru. And Dread End for the knockout. So she goes ahead much earlier than she did in game 1. So game 2 already has a bit more action, a lot more action actually, but so here, off of that Marnie, I am able to get 3 Pokemon down to the bench and a Tate and Liza. So that is really good for me. So that Marnie helped. I did have a research, I believe, prior to the Marnie, but the Marnie gave me basic Pokemon, which is really all I could ask for in this situation. So then I Titanize, taking the option to shuffle draw 5. And a Zacian V comes down. So, yeah, this turn actually ended up being really good for me. The Marnie, usually they're fairly disruptive, but Marnie was a homie this time. So I think I have Delcatty and Scoop Up Net, so I could evolve that active Skitty and then Scoop Up Net it, but there's not really anything I feel like I need, so I'm just going to let that active Skitty get knocked out. And Intrepid Sword for 3 more cards. So here's Scoop Up Net, just putting some damage on the Zacian. Kind of like last game, she's acknowledging maybe bossing that with a single energy Evoltal GX can get a cheeky 2 prizes at some point. Which I think it's a fair option because Evoltal GX just needs 1 single energy attachment, so there's not time to disrupt that. Here's for a basic Dark and a Crobat V. Something we were talking about here at this point in the game was, should she attach multiple energy to one Eternatus VMAX like you see here, the 3 basic Dark? And I think that's, like, there's a lot of ways to go, or a few ways to go with it. And I am able to punish all of the options, I feel like. So if she does this, I can Articuno GX attack the Eternatus VMAX with multiple energy. But if she puts like 2 on one Eternatus and 1 on the other, I could just Crushing Hammer both of them, or double Yell Grunt. So putting them all on 1, if Articuno GX is prized, that stops me from... It makes me need to do like double Yell Grunt and a Hammerheads to get rid of all the energy on 1. So I think it's not necessarily even a risk. It's just like, okay, I'm going to try this one and see if it works, because like either way, it feels like Control has the advantage, so she's going to go with this line of play and see how it goes. So she took the knockout on the Skitty that I left in the active, and now I sent up the Ditto to evolve the Chinchino, which was purposeful. So I did that so I could evolve the Ditto, make do, Scoop Up Net it, then bench the Ditto to potentially evolve it into something else next turn. And then evolve the Chinchino on top of the Minchino to use a second make do with the same Chinchino, essentially, because of the Scoop Up Net. So here, I am acknowledging that the Spiritomb was a threat last time. My hand doesn't really allow me to do anything else that I'd like to do. So I have Boss's Order and Recycle Energy. I'm going to get rid of that Spiritomb now while I can. And I'm expecting that Chinchino to get knocked out. So I'm getting another Minchino ready to go. You may notice not an Oranguru on my board, and I don't really need Oranguru right now. You know, I'm adapting to the threat that's on my opponent's board, that Spiritomb that I want to get rid of. Now here I believe she actually makes a really interesting play. So she acknowledges that that Persian Make-'em Pay can evolve from Ditto. It's the only way I can evolve into that Persian is the Ditto. If she knocks out that Chinchino, I'm just evolving the other one. I'm getting a Recycle Energy back. So she decides to Boss's Order the Ditto Prism since it gives me more... options in the long run, and she also has a second boss in hand if she needs that to bring up the Zacian or something else next turn. And also, I made last turn's play, quickballing the Minchino, assuming that the active Chinchino would be knocked out. So it doesn't change too much for me, but it definitely keeps me on my feet a little bit with... she made the unpredictable play there, I think. So here's Crushing Hammer. we get heads discarding from the benched one, and then we're definitely going to try to use Articuno's GX attack to just remove all of that energy, removing 4 energy in 1 turn. So turns like this are what make me think that even against the Weavile GX Darkrai Prism version of the deck, you could still win with control. Like, even though they can move their energy around, they can accelerate energy and whatnot. And also, here's a good point to always remember: that energy assist attack from Chinchino. You can accelerate that water energy from the discard pile and use it later on with Articuno GX. So definitely keep that in mind if you are playing control, or if you notice your control opponent is like just attaching water energy to a random Pokemon they're not going to use it on. It's probably not a random attachment, it has purpose. So scoop up net, leave the Skitty down so I can reuse Delcatty again next turn. That's the kind of the bread and butter of getting back your supporters in this deck. You don't want to use resource management to get back supporters. So there I use Cold Crush GX, discarding 3 energy, and I'm counting how many dark energy are gone. I believe there's 4 dark energy, basic dark energy in the discard. So that means I need to get rid of 3 more basic dark energy to win the game, essentially. Because once I get rid of all 7 basic dark, then she has no attacks left to use, and I can just either Oranguru resource management until she decks out, or I can do that while also using Belelba to mill her. But once I get rid of 7 basic dark, she'll just scoop because she knows there's no way to win. Now she attaches basic dark and then uses Crobat. I don't necessarily know if she needed to draw extra cards there, but if she doesn't do it this turn, she's going to do it next turn, because she's trying to get an energy for next turn. So next turn she'll end up doing it anyway, or she would want like a switch boss energy to use with Yveltal GX. And also she knows my Persian Make 'em Pay option is completely removed for the entire game, since I'm not playing a Meowth in the deck. I'm just playing the Ditto Prism and the Persian, and Ditto Prism's in the Lost Zone. So Crushing Hammer, Tails, I will have to Yell Grunt that energy if I don't have another Crushing Hammer. There's Delcatty. So looks like I might start using Belelba here, actually. There's Yell Grunt and Tate and Liza. Okay. So Yell Grunt, Tate and Liza, that's right. So I have Articuno GX in the active. I need to get that out of there. So ideally, I would like to get that Articuno GX to the bench, and Belelba and Bryson Man that and Zacian off my bench with the second effect. But I wasn't able to get the combination of cards I needed off of Make Do. And I needed to get a switching card out of... I needed to get a switching card, and I also needed to remove energy. So if I got Crushing Hammer heads, I would have been able to get Tate and Liza and Belelba there. But because I did not get Crushing Hammer heads, and I didn't get another Crushing Hammer off of Make Do, then I had to just switch, get rid of the energy, and keep those Pokemon on my board. But because we got rid of the energy, I have another turn to work with to Belelba, Bryson Man them off the bench in a future turn. Now, that Great Ball, I don't think there's necessarily anything she could have wanted off of it, but that's something common I'll see sometimes when players are playing against control. They'll do some unnecessary actions just to be like, okay, I have to have an out. There has to be a way to beat this. And that's a misplay. I understand the frustration when playing against this type of deck. So here she's going to... So there's something to keep in mind. Like, try to keep your cool, you know, make sure every action you're doing has a purpose. Not just against control, against everything. So here she's going to Boss's Order up Zacian, just see if she can stall me a little bit while she tries to attach an energy. And just pass it over. Quick Ball for the Mew. Just want to get it out of my deck since I don't need that. I'm going to Make Do it away. Evolve another Chinchino and Make Do. And let's see what I'm able to get here. So Lieutenant Surge and Bird Keeper, which is a great draw for me. So I draw 3, and that means I can Belubba Embrace. Oh no, I can't Belubba Embrace him in Yorakuno and Zacian away because I do not. I was not able to. Oh, I have Belubba Embrace in my hand. Perfect. So I was thinking I wasn't able to get it back with Delcatty because I didn't scoop up Delcatty last turn, but I had the Belubba Embrace Man in my hand already, so that works out really well. So I'm able to remove those, and I now have a 0-card deck, which is fine because I have a large enough hand. Yeah, I have a large enough hand that after resource management, a Marnie won't deck me out. I might actually ordinary. No, I don't ordinary rod here. Yeah, so I think I have a 4-card hand and I'm resourcing 3. But like I said, I know she's not playing Belelba because she's playing Eternatus VMAX. Those decks do not play Belelba. If at any point they start playing Belelba, then I would play around this differently. I would make do one less time, or I would make sure I had an ordinary rod in my deck already, or a Brock's Grit, something like that, to use prior to the resource management here. So yeah, resource management, I have roughly a 4-card hand and a 3-card deck, so I'm fine if she uses Marnie. And here she is able to get the attack off. She was gonna research, but I was like, no need to research, right? There's nothing else you need, just don't waste resources, don't self-mill. Just, hold your hand. So she doesn't research, but she's able to take a knockout and go down to 2 prizes. And this is really important here. I've removed those double prize Pokemon from my board, and now she cannot win in a single turn. So here I Crushing Hammer the basic Dark Energy, leaving her with just a capture, and I believe there's either 5 or 6 Dark Energy in the discard pile. Now I need to get to 7 basic Dark in the discard pile. I'm gonna Ordinary Rod here so I don't deck out. With a Marnie or something. I actually might have been counting Marnies there, not, I might have been counting Marnies and not, Basic Dark there, just to see if she had one more Marnie left so I don't deck out from that. So, Delcatty, friends, grab 2 supporters. I think I'm getting Brock's Grit here because I'm worried about decking out. And I think I just mismanaged my resources a little bit here. I don't remember exactly the lines of play I have with my hand and discard pile combined, but I'm fobbing away the capture energy, and basically I'm buying myself enough turns that I can Brock's Grit just to ensure that nothing happens where she is able to knock out Oranguru and then I can't resource manage again and I deck out, or she has Marnie or something like that. I'm just trying to prove myself and secure this game. I also want to note that the Delcatty version feels much less prone to losing to a slight misplay than the Palpad version. With the Palpad version, I feel like you have to be very, very precise. And this is probably my 3rd game with this exact control list, so I was definitely very new to it. And any slight misplays I make, I feel like the Delcatty version of the deck helped mitigate because it's much more forgiving to slight misplays. Whereas the Palpad version, I feel like you have to be much more precise to secure the win. So here I'm going to resource manage 3 cards. I think it's going to be something like a Scoop Up Net, a Supporter, and maybe an Ordinary Rod or a Crushing Hammer. If I get the Brock's Grit, then it's not going to be an Ordinary Rod. I'm actually considering benching the Oranguru before using resource management. So yeah, I benched that Oranguru, and then I resource management. I have enough cards in the deck that I can do that. I'm counting it out. If you Marnie me, am I fine? Oh, no. Actually, here I'm counting out when do I get to draw these cards. So what order do I put them in with the resource management? So I would want to see Lieutenant Surge first, it looks like. No, I want to see Scoop Up Net first. I'm confusing even myself here now. We're in the final turns of the game, and it gets very tricky because I have 5 or 6 cards. I have 6 cards exactly in my deck, so I'll top deck 1 and then draw 2 with Make Do, and then pass, and she's at 0 energy, so that's fine. The next turn I can just draw my whole deck again. But this also keeps me safe from a Marnie, so if she Marnied me, I just get to see those cards I want even earlier. But basically, I just wanted to secure my victory. But like I said, I probably did it suboptimally there. And it looked like she had no energy in her hand. She's counting her basic energy in deck now, I believe. Okay, yeah, she quick balled a switch, but instead she decided to quick ball a research, because switch can definitely be useful here. Yeah, no energy for her. So that's like a fairly lucky turn for me there. And this game looked like she kind of had an advantage in the early game just because she knocked out that lone Oranguru, and then I had to send up the Skitty, and yeah, it wasn't looking too hot for me from the beginning. But here I just take a quick bench of Skitty, resource management. There's no threats. There's no way she can win next turn because I don't have any double price Pokemon on the board. So I'm just going to bench this Skitty so I can evolve it into Delcatty next turn. And I'm going to start doing whatever I need to do. I have double Yell Grunt as an option. I have double Balelba as an option. I can pretty much do anything from here. And she has no energy on the board. So at this point, I knew that I won. So I'm going to Delcatty for double Balelba, and at this point, if we see two basic dark energies come out of the deck, I just win. The game's over at that point. So I bench the fresh Skitty so I can Delcatty again next turn. Then I surge Balelba, and no energy, no energy. So she's still got either one or two basic dark left in the deck. And here I'm going to resource Scoop Up Net Hammer, because Scoop Up Net gets me any two supporters I need. So I'll just grab me the double Balelba. I have Surge in hand. All is well. She's gonna boss, and I told her, well, bossing Delcatty doesn't hurt me because I'm gonna Scoop Up Net that anyway. I always, like, Delcatty's always prone to be getting scooped. So just boss something that I don't want to waste my Scoop Up Net on. So I make do into my double hammers, and I top deck the Scoop Up Net from the resource management, Scoop Up Net, the Delcatty. Now we're gonna get double Balelba. Surge double Balelba. Let's see if that energy comes off the top. There's a basic dark. And she's just gonna scoop. Because I have basic water in my hand, so I just retreat that Chinchino and resource management, and I don't deck out, and she's out of usable energy to attack with. So, GG's, I win game 1 and 2, but that second one was close.